Welcome to the Girl Means Business podcast. I'm your host, Kendra Swalls. Over the last few years, I have built a business that allowed me to quit my 9-to-5, spend more time with the ones that I love, and live my best life. Now, I'm sharing everything I learned along the way with you. Each week, my guest and I will share actionable tips, tangible advice, and honest conversations to help you build your dream business. So get ready to take notes and put in the work because this girl means business. Hey there, welcome back to another week of the Girl Means Business podcast. I'm so excited that you're here this week. We are coming off of a long, relaxing 4th of July weekend. I hope you had a wonderful couple of days with family and friends, just enjoying this midpoint in our summer break. For us, it was a time with our closest friends and their kids. We had a great 4-day weekend at a lake house where we boated, we jet skied, we tubed, we wore everybody out, and we ate like crazy. It was the best. We were unplugged for 4 entire days, and it was amazing. But I have to say that it made me miss having the routine of work, because when you really do love what you do, you find that you miss it when you're not in that routine. And so Monday morning, I was up and ready to get back into the swing of things and get this podcast ready for y'all this week. So this week, I have a really exciting, fun guest for you. Her name is Kristen, and she is the owner of the Shine Fitness Studio here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. She is one of those people that the first time I met her, we didn't even meet in person. We just talked on the phone when she was opening up her first fitness studio. And we were talking about how we could possibly work together and collaborations that we could do. And we just spent about an hour on the phone talking about our passions and our vision for our businesses. And we're very much aligned in the fact that we love helping women really discover their hidden potential, whether that is in business or in fitness or just in life in general. And so ever since that conversation on the phone, Kristen is somebody that I have watched, I have followed, I have admired from afar. We have kind of become internet friends. And so to have her on the show was super exciting because I am just in awe of the amazing things this girl is doing in her personal life, in her business life. And she is still in her 20s. She's young. She's got a lot to look forward to in life. And so I just couldn't wait to get her on here to share her story with y'all. So today we're going to be talking to Kristen. You'll get to hear about her journey of how she got to where she is today. And we talk a lot about just how to build a community of people around you. When you look at the people in business that are the most successful, it's because they have built a community around something they believe in strongly. And Kristen's a perfect example of that because she has built this amazing community, which we'll talk about when I interview her. I recently was at her grand opening with her brand new studio because she just grew so fast. She had to move into a bigger space. And I went into that grand opening thinking, okay, this is going to be a fun event. I'll get to kind of see what her fitness studio is about. And I walked away just completely in awe of the impact that she has on these women and the community of support and love that she has built, whether she meant to or not. That's what she's done. And to me, that is a sign of success. That's a sign that her business is just going to keep growing and growing and growing because she's built it on such a strong foundation of community. So as you're listening to this interview, I want you to be thinking about your business and the things that your business stands for and how you can use that to build a community of like-minded people around you. I know in weeks past, we've had the question about what do you do when your ideal client is nothing like you? And I think that it's so important that we find some kind of connection between who we're working with and ourselves, because in my personal opinion, you have to have something that your business stands for that your clients can relate to. And that might be something as simple as everybody wants to feel beautiful. And if your business helps them feel beautiful, that's the connection. Or everybody wants to feel like they're important. And if your business can make them feel important, that's a connection. So finding those connections, finding those little thread lines that connect you with your ideal client and building that community of people supporting them who are supporting each other can be a really huge impact on your business. So as we listen to today's interview with Kristen, I want you to be thinking about how you can apply the same things that she's done in her business to your own personal business. All right, quick side note. So while I was recording this interview with Kristen, I was actually out of town in Vegas with my husband. So we're recording this from my hotel room. So if you hear any noises in the background, or at one point, I think I had to get up and answer the door for housekeeping, which was kind of embarrassing. I apologize for that. That's what you get for working on the road. And one of the benefits of having this job is that you can do it from anywhere. And that includes a hotel room in Las Vegas. So, all right, guys, let's go ahead and dive into today's interview with Kristen from the Shine Fitness Studio. Hi, Kristen. Thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, I'm so excited to chat with you today. So I want to start off and have you share a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do and your journey, your story of how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the owner and founder of Shine Fitness Studio. We're a pole dancing and aerial arts fitness studio. So we focus on anything that you can see like in the circus, we do it. And then of course we head into the sensuality side of pole dancing. We are located in Hearst. And we've been around since March of 2018. It kind of still feels like yesterday that we just opened, but that also feels like forever since we've opened. But it's been definitely a journey to get to this point of being able to say, like, I'm the boss babe of Shine Fitness Studio. So I guess we can start at college, really. I was a student at A&M, and I'm actually from Bryan-College Station, where Texas A&M is located. And I just knew, like, I had to get away. I was like, okay, I'm going to stay at home for college, but I'm getting out. So I got out of school in 3 years. I was like on the accelerated plan, got to get out, got to go. And I moved to DFW basically alone. I had 2 friends from college that lived up here. And I really didn't have anybody besides my coworkers at my first job out of school. So I went to school for IT and specifically like managing projects, which makes kind of sense like further down the line as a business owner and like managing projects. It all correlates like really nicely. So I'm glad that I had that skill set behind me because I definitely probably would have been floundering a lot more if I hadn't. And so when I moved up here, I was just like, how am I going to meet people? How am I going to lose my freshman 15 or 20, 25 or whatever it may be?
That we all have, yeah.
That we all have, right? And so I, was online. I think I was like looking at YouTube, and I just saw these like beautiful pole dancers. And I'd always like known that pole dancing was this hard sport to do, but I had never done it. I mean, Bryan-College Station's kind of conservative. Like I was in college and we took like a bootylicious cardio class and everybody was like, where's my booty? Right? Like, yeah. It was very like conservative. And so I just knew that like, I wanted to just let like any, womanly part of me out there and just be confident and comfortable in it. And so I was watching these pole dancers and they were just like exuding this confidence that like I wanted. And I knew from there, like, this is what I need to try. So I found a studio right down the street from where I lived. And I basically went and took like 2 classes back to back there and never stopped going. So it was definitely an instant addiction for me and something that I just wanted to train and be really, really good at. And so I trained for about 1.5 years before I became an instructor, and started instructing at the studio that I was training at. And I instructed there for about 4 years. And I learned a ton. about myself, about instructing and leading other women, and how to encourage and build confidence and really allow other people to just start loving themselves. And then in that, like, I started loving myself more too, right?
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then March 2018, I officially opened Shine in a market where there isn't other pole dancing studios or area arts, at least under one roof, right? So we're the only studio in Tarrant County or DFW Mid-Cities that actually provides all of the things under one roof, which makes us really cool. And it's just an exciting, exciting new studio that I want to share all of the things with.
That is so awesome. I think there's so many parts of your story that I just absolutely love. And I think, kind of touching on a few, like you mentioned, the fact that you went to school for IT and you looking back now, you can see how that's helped you in your business and as far as like project management and leading teams and things like that. And, I have a similar experience with education as my background, and, leaving behind all of those years of teaching, I kept thinking like, why am I leaving this behind? Like, I feel like I am walking away from something I spent so much time and energy on, but now that I can see how it all fits together, and I'm able to use those skills to help teach other women in business. And so it's really cool that, that how it all kind of comes full circle in the end. So I also want to talk a little bit about just the idea of starting your own. So you walking away from instructing for someone else, starting your own studio. How did that work for you? Like, was it a scary leap? Was it just kind of the next step for you? Was it something you'd always thought about doing and you just had an opportunity? How did that come about? Because that's a big step to take to go out on your own.
Yeah. So I knew that my passion was helping other women, right? Or just people in general. Even in IT, right? I wanted to give people the tools to make their lives easier in work. When I became an instructor, I wanted to give people the tools to be more confident. And so it was just, for me, I knew that I wanted to reach a bigger audience, and an audience that hadn't had the opportunity to do something like this. I mean, they were driving if you're in the mid-cities area, you were driving to Dallas to go to a studio out there, or if you were in Arlington, you had one there. But really, there wasn't anything out here like this, and so I just knew in my heart, and being from a family of entrepreneurs, that it was time for me to branch out. I had experienced just really bad bosses in the IT world. And I just knew, when you have that fire in your heart where you're like, I have this passion and I have this desire to build, my own business. Mm-hmm. Sometimes hearing, a boss come down and say like, don't do this, don't do that, when you're just like, have this entrepreneurial heart, is a little, it's hard to take, and it's a hard pill to swallow. And so I just knew, right, that it was that time for me, and also the scariest time for me too. I had a really steady career in IT. I was well liked. I got my stuff done, right? Like, I made sure that we were succeeding as a company, but I just knew, sitting at my desk in downtown Dallas, that all I wanted to do was fly, right, on my own. And so I saved like crazy and took that big step and left the IT world, left my steady career, left the steady paycheck, the insurance. Mm-hmm. Good night. That one's scary too.
Oh yeah. That's like the number one thing I get from people who are thinking about quitting their full-time jobs. They're like, well, how did you handle insurance and this and that? Like, the income isn't always the scary part. It's all the benefits you're kind of leaving behind when you're working for somebody else. And that's a big thing to overcome sometimes.
Yeah, it really is. And luckily I was able to find what I needed to find because as women, we have those extra things that we really do need insurance for. And so it's super important that, you're finding something out there.
Right. Yeah.
For me, it was that scary security, right? You always live like in this normal. And when people are like, what's your favorite thing to do? And I'm like, well, duh, like flying and defying gravity. But it's also like, making myself feel uncomfortable, and by stepping out of like my normal box and trying new things, because I feel like when you get through that like uncomfortable space or get into that uncomfortable space is where you're really going to start learning about yourself, about the world, whatever it may be. That's where you're really going to start growing.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you came from a family of entrepreneurs. So I was curious, like your support system, because I know I've heard a lot of women say that stepping out from their career to start something on their own, part of the scary part is that people don't understand necessarily what it is that they're doing or what they don't understand the entrepreneurial spirit. There's, I feel like there's two types of people. There's the people who work for other people and there's people who work for themselves. And the people who work for other people don't necessarily understand the passion that we have for doing something that's ours. So who was your support system? And did you have any pushback? Did you have anybody that didn't quite understand that you had to kind of explain it to, or did you have people supporting you 100%?
A mixture of both, right? So my dad owns his own company. He has an 11th grade education.
Wow.
Dropped out of high school. Worked for somebody else for many, many years, and then decided to go into business for himself. And he's doing so well. And I'm super, super proud of him. Before that was my grandmother. She was one of the first Latina women to own a business in Bryan College Station, which is amazing. Like super exciting and super cool.
So it's in your DNA for sure.
It's in our DNA to be out there and confident in rocking our businesses, because they both have definitely done that. My dad and my family and my mom, my brother's huge support. And it's not like a financial support because that does help, but it's that emotional support. It's that like, hey, you got this. It's those like days where you're like, how the heck am I going to do this? Where you're just like, where your family steps in and they're like, you got this, you can do this, But I mean, let's just face it. Like I don't want to call them labels because I think that they're like badges of honor, but I'm a Latina, under 30 millennial woman entrepreneur. Like all of the things that you could like think of like just stuff to like throw at somebody and say, go try and be successful.
Yeah.
Those are hurdles. I mean, those are things I've definitely had bankers look at me like, you don't know what the heck you're talking about.
Right.
Or when I was talking to my boss at my last job about leaving, I got all sorts of questions and just like Shark Tank like questions, right? Like, are you sure you know what you're doing? And of course, like I know my numbers in and out, and we're talking through this, and he's like, okay, well, wow, you actually do know what you're talking about. You actually, and so it was an interesting pushback that I knew I was going to get, but then there were also times where I was like, I didn't expect it. Some of my best friends questioned me and they were like, are you sure? Like, don't you like, don't you like your career and that comfortableness? And I was like, yes, but no.
Yeah, exactly.
But no.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too. I was kind of saying about the difference between, I always call them like the worker bees and the queen bees. Like you've got these people who they just don't understand that. Like I was perfectly happy in my job. I enjoyed what I did. I enjoyed the people I worked with, but there was this like passion, this fire inside of me that told me I can't keep doing this. And I feel like from what you've been saying, you had that same thing. Like, I think you probably enjoyed the job you were at and you were good at it, but you knew you were destined for something bigger. And I think it's that faith that when you feel like you're so destined for something, you're like, nothing can stop me. And it's still scary, but it just gives you that confidence. And I don't know about you, but for me, the people that pushed back a little bit are the ones that drove me further into what I knew I was meant to do, because I was like, no, let me show you what I can do. Let me show you, like, I'm going to prove you wrong. And I'm going to prove to you that I can do this 10 times beyond what I've said I'm going to do.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Was that kind of your driving force too, a little bit?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, okay, you say I can't do this? Well, watch me.
Exactly. And I love it. Like, that's what gets me excited. I'm like, let me show you what I'm capable of, whether you have been by my side 100% or whether you have questioned me along the way. That's part of what drives me to do more and be more, and I think that's a healthy sort of place to be in when you have, because if you have yes men around you all the time that are like, yeah, you got this, and you don't ever have that pushback, then, you don't have as much of that fire to prove somebody wrong.
Oh, yeah. And listen, I am stubborn as all get out. When I'm like, we're doing this, we're doing it, stubborn, but smart. Yes. I know when to quit.
But you have to be stubborn too. I mean, all those qualities, and again, going back to that whole coming full circle, I look back at my childhood growing up, and there's parts of my personality, and I can see it in yours too. You're like, these little things about me that may have come across as something else in the past are working for you now. That stubbornness and that drive and that tenacity and that never quit kind of thing, it's going to get you far in your business, which clearly you're rocking it. So it's working for you.
Thank you.
So one of the things I wanted to mention was that how you and I know each other. So when you opened was that your first studio that I was part of the grand opening with?
Yes.
Okay.
First studio.
So when you did your grand opening, I came and I donated a little photography session for your grand opening. And then now that you've opened your new studio, which is amazing. And
Thank you.
Part of your grand opening. And like, I knew of you as this amazing woman who had started this studio, this business. And I'd followed you on Instagram and social media. And I saw the amazing things you were doing. It didn't 100% click for me, just what you had accomplished, until I sat in that opening and watched all these women come in there. And I realized, like, you have created this like home for these women. You've given them a community. You've given them a confidence and a power that a lot of them didn't have before, or were searching for, or didn't know how to bring it out in themselves. And you brought it out in them. So I want to talk a little bit about just how you've created this community, whether it was intentional or something that kind of came about by accident. But I was so moved just by the people that were there that night, that were so supportive of each other. They were so supportive of you and what you were trying to accomplish and what you've done. And it blew me away, to be honest. Like, when at one point when they all came over saying, I was like, I was like crying when you were crying. I was like, so talk a little bit about how that came about. Like, how did you create that community?
Yeah. So it kind of goes back to why I started. I didn't have anybody here, and it was how I've met some of my best friends. And so I knew that I wanted to create a community where you could go and work out, because at the end of the day, this is still a workout. Right. You're still getting your butt kicked and building strength. And but it's a place to meet with other women that have similar passions, that want to express in the way that you want to express. I really focused on making sure that negative self-talk was just thrown out the window. So the word can't, or I cannot, or anything along those not being able to do something is like a dirty word in our studio. And it's because once you start saying, I can't do something, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not strong enough, or whatever it may be, that's when those insecurities start taking over. It's kind of like that big snowball, right? It may start as like a little bitty flake, but eventually it's going to go down that mountain, and then you're just kind of feeling really small and not loving yourself. And so it starts from within. It's why I named Shine, right? Because I really do believe that everybody has this beautiful light within them. You just have to let it shine. And so when we take away that negative talk, when we take away those insecurities, and I wouldn't say take away, but talk them down and beat them down, really. It's when you start seeing women and men too, or children, whatever it may be, flourish. When you start talking in I can do it. I may not be here today, but I'm working towards it and I will do it soon. That's positive self-talk is going to be huge for your confidence. It's also, listen, we dance in front of mirrors and we pick apart our bodies non-stop. And then it doesn't help when you have like social media and these beautiful models everywhere. And even in the pole dancing world or the aerial arts world, you see these, you see other athletes, rocking it, and they've got these killer bodies and you're just like, oh, not that or whatever. And I just say, absolutely not. Like, you love that skin that you're in. Like, you want to wear a crop top, you rock that crop top. Like, you want to have purple hair, you have purple hair, you rock it, right? Like, you love that skin that you're in because it's such a beautiful gift. And you appreciate it and you love it and you tell it how special it is. It's kind of like, I don't want to equate like our bodies to like our pets, but like we love our pets so much that we're like, I love you and you're so special and you're great. And like, sometimes I just wish that women would like talk to themselves like, I love me. I'm so special. I'm so great.
Oh my gosh,
what I mean? And that's by no means to say that we're like animals. I'm looking at my cat right now.
I know.
I love you. But it's so true. Like, at that like moment where you're talking to yourself and saying like, I am worth it is huge. We deal with women that are leaving abusive relationships. We deal with women that have terrible bosses. We deal with women that are stay-at-home moms and believe that their whole life is just their children, and that they don't have anything outside of that. And watching them come in, slumped shoulders, looking down at their feet, not really interacting with people. And then introducing them to new people. We always say, go meet a new friend at the beginning of class. You instantly have a friend when you go to class. But 2, watching other people that exude confidence and then them saying like, you're amazing and you should keep doing this.
Yeah.
It just helps. And it makes that big, beautiful snowball that we want, right? The confidence snowball, the I shine snowball. And it's so amazing after an hour that you get to see women with their shoulders back and their chins up and they're smiling and laughing and they're finally saying to themselves, like, I am worth it. I am worth this hour of time for myself. I am worth this strong, powerful, shining body and personality that I have. It's been a beautiful, beautiful journey. And I think that's why I love, 1, instructing, but 2, also being able to provide that home for people. We're already fighting society because we're pole dancers, right?
Yeah.
And we're already having to tell people that it's a sport and having to fight that side of it. But when you get into a space where it's safe and it's comfortable and you have all these women building each other up, it's just a beautiful, beautiful environment.
Well, and I had to say, like, I will admit, I was one of those people who, when I first had heard about you, I was like, okay, pole dancing, like, that's for women who are already confident. That's for women who are already like confident in their skin and their sexuality, and they want to like go out and like flaunt it. And then I came and I watched those performances at your grand opening, and I watched the women that were there, and it was so incredible to see exactly what you just said. Like, these were not women who walked in feeling already confident. They were women who walked in who were defeated, who were unsure of themselves, and then they gained the confidence. And I think that's so incredible. And it's so relatable to what I do with my boudoir sessions. Women, I tell women all the time, it's not for you to come into the studio feeling confident and going, I'm going to rock this. It's my job to help you feel that way when you leave here. And I think that seeing the women in your studio who were all shapes, all sizes, all walks of life, all ages, and watching them perform and cheer each other on, I was like, oh my gosh, this is just everything you just said, they embody. And I think that's so incredible. And it's such an attributed to you. I mean, it's a reflection on what you have done through your belief system and what you have accomplished, that you're able to give that for these other women. And I think that's so amazing. And I don't know, I'm amazed that you know, of everything you've accomplished. And I guess what I'm saying is I just think you're incredible. That's why I wanted to chat with you, because I think you're amazing. And I think that all these things that you've done for other women, you know, it's just amazing. And I know there's no like magic anything you've done. I think it's just who you are and the fact that you're able to make those connections with women. And then you've hired people, I know with your other instructors, who believe the same thing that you believe and who want the same things that you want, which I think is really key too. And that kind of segues into my next question, was you have had to now take your vision and place it in other people's hands with the instructors that you've hired. So kind of talk to me a little bit about that process, because I know for business owners that might not mean hiring instructors or someone that you're working with, but it might be outsourcing something and handing something off that's so valuable to you to somebody else to take care of. So what was that process like, and how have you been able to be confident in your decisions of who you hire to be part of your team?
So most of the instructors that are on my team, I've known for many, many years. We've trained together, we've instructed together, and the small handful that I haven't known for many years have come highly recommended through others that I have known for many, many years. The aerial community, and that includes pole dancing and aerial arts all together, right? The aerial community is pretty small in the DFW area, all things considered. And so we all know each other. we all talk. And so I am truly blessed to have found all of the women that I have to bring onto my team. And I really did handpick all of them because I know, one, that they're going to keep all of our students safe. Again, you're in the air, upside down. I mean, you saw it. We were in fabric. We were in hoops. We were on poles doing, flips and spins and tricks and whatnot. And there's got to be somebody behind that knows how to do it safely, that knows the proper technique, that understands that rigging is so important. I mean, you can't just hang off of a piece of a rope. You can't just hang off of a 2x4s glued together. You know what I mean? Like you have to be cautious. And unfortunately, there are studios out there, even in the DFW area, that aren't practicing safe instruction. So that was the biggest for me. The second piece, also equally as important, was their attitudes and the way that they treated people and the way that they presented themselves to our students and also to those outside of the studio. You can be a beautiful gem inside the studio, but if you walk out of that door and you're not that safe pig, it's not the place that I want to be. Yeah. And so I have, built up the processes, things that I can easily hand off to them. But then also sharing my vision and being that leader and that person that they can always come back to for instruction styles, how to, build their classes, how to encourage students when they're not getting something, different things like that I have just grown over the years that now I'm capable of sharing with them and really helping them develop their business too, as far as the instruction world goes. Right. It is scary, like saying, okay, here's my little baby and now it's yours. And please don't mess it up.
It is, and I think, because when you built something that it's such a part of you, it's not like you are doing it for anybody else. You're doing it for you, and it's something so close to your heart. It's really hard. I see it all the time, and I struggle with it still, handing off things to other people and outsourcing things and asking for help is a huge thing. And, I think a lot of times business owners think that they have to be able to do it all. And I think that's something that is misinterpreted in social media, is that you see all these women who are just killing it, and you don't always see the help, the tribe they have behind them, helping them, and that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to hand something off, but it's also okay to expect a lot from who you're handing it off to, because
gosh, yes.
It is, and you have to be able to kind of put yourself in that boss position and say, look, this is my vision. And if you don't fit that vision, this isn't going to work. But if you do, it could be something completely incredible, this partnership that we have. And so putting that faith and trust in other people is scary, but it sounds like you have got the right team behind you so far, which is awesome.
I do. I think I said it at the grand opening, and I'll say it again. When I talk about the studio, and the decisions that we make, ultimately, yes, I have final say, but I never refer to the studio as mine. I always I catch myself doing it, and people always ask me well, who's we? We decided this, or we're doing this, or whatever. And so they always think that I'm talking about other owners. But what I mean is we collectively as a community of instructors, and also some students too. I mean, the students have a huge say in what comes into the studio and what we do, and the types of classes and workshops and events that we, provide at the space. But it's always been a we thing. And as perfect as I would like to be, I know that I can't do it all. I know that there's going to be places where I have weaknesses. For me, sometimes it's on a graphic design marketing side. So one of my instructors is an incredibly talented graphic designer, and she's stepped in and she's basically running our social media.
That's incredible.
And so there's these things where you find that aren't your strengths, and that you can provide oversight and leadership on, and say, this is the vision, like you were talking about. But definitely have that attitude, or I think that it's a good skill set for any kind of entrepreneur to say, I'll fix it, or I'll find somebody that can, if I can,
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay. So I've got two more questions for you. So one is, what has been your biggest struggle, or your biggest hurdle, or something that you did not expect when it came to starting your business?
I did not realize how lonely it was going to be.
Yeah.
I don't feel like enough people talk about this, because nobody wants to admit hey, I'm at the top and I'm doing it and I'm a boss babe. But also it's hard to find other people that can relate. How many other pole aerial studio owners do you know that are going through the exact same thing that I'm going through, right?
Yeah.
There's not a ton. And so for me, finding the right people to talk to, finding somebody outside of the industry, another woman that's an entrepreneur, that is doing something very similar. They just left their job, or they've left their job. They've been doing this for many years, and having them to help get me through this process has been huge.
Hang on one second.
Did you have service today?
No, not today. Thank you.
That's a glamorous life you're living.
I had it set to do not disturb, but apparently they didn't listen to me. So we'll just cut that part out. Oh my gosh.
That's too funny. You know what? Just leave it. And so everybody knows that you also live a glamorous
Yeah, here I am in my hotel room in Vegas saying no to room service and oh my god,
that's too funny. And here I thought my cat was going to be the one messing this up.
No, it's the housekeeper. That's okay.
Oh, goodness.
Trust me, my life is typically not that glamorous. This is, going back to the idea of being lonely. Like, I totally get it, because there are so many days that as a mom, like for the summer, my kids are home all day and I'm constantly trying to keep them entertained and keep them from fighting with each other and going and doing. And then I take a little break and I get some work done, and it will be weeks have gone by and I realize I have not connected with another person other than my husband and my kids. And that's when I catch myself in these sort of like low points where I'm like, I need to be around other women who get it, who understand the business side of things, who understand even if they're not in my industry, they understand the idea of being your own boss. And it's hard because we get so caught up in our own things that we forget that we need that community of our own. You've created this amazing community for the women in your studio, but you need your own community of women that will keep you inspired and excited and on the right track and out of your own head sometimes. Because I don't know about you, but I get stuck in my own head and I just need somebody else to be like, no, that's a really good idea, or maybe not so much. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Taking the time to find that community for yourself is really important too.
It's huge. You need that, like that moment of selfness.
Yes.
Right. We give all of ourselves to the women that we help. And every now and then just got to take just a little for you.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah. And it's hard. It's that kind of that asking for help. You feel like you should be able to do it all, but you need people around you that are going to lift you up when you're having a bad day or celebrate you when you're having a good day. So that's important too. All right. So the last question I have is, if you were talking to a woman who was thinking about quitting her job, going full-time into her own business, starting something from scratch, what would be your number one piece of advice you would give?
My biggest thing is kind of going back to the negative self-talk. If the passion and the fire is there, it will happen. It may be a bumpy, rocky road, or it could be smooth sailing, right? It doesn't matter. As long as you get out of your own way and start saying like, I can do this, I've got the skills, I can ask for help, then it can be done. Like, don't ever let that fear of, oh God, what am I going to do next? Or how am I going to get from A to Z? Like, it'll all come back together and it'll all make sense because your fire and your passion and your know-how is there. Don't ever, ever give up, because that's the biggest thing. Is there were so many times where I could have walked away, but I know that I wouldn't be in this happy place that I'm in now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I 1,000% agree. You have to get up. And I was just talking to a friend the other day who we'd had multiple conversations at her lowest point where she was like, I'm just done. Like, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to go back to my full-time job. This isn't working. And then, here we are 6 months to a year later and she's killing it, and if she'd given up and she hadn't pursued that passion that she had, that she knew she was destined for, because it got hard at one point, she wouldn't be where she is now, and she'd be still stuck in that 9 to 5 that she wasn't happy with. And so having that belief in yourself is invaluable. You have to have that. And that's, again, going back to the people you surround yourself with. When you have those low days, having somebody you can reach out to that can say, no, you got this. Like, you're in this for a reason. So, well, thank you so much for joining us. I am just in awe of all the amazing things that you're doing. So tell us where people can find you, where they can follow you on social media, where they can get more information about your studio. And I'll definitely put all of those links in the show notes, but go ahead and share those with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can visit us online at shinefitnessstudio.com. We're also on Facebook and Instagram under Shine Fitness Studio. We're located in Hurst, Texas, off of 26 in Mid-City. So we're right in between Hurst, or right on that Hurst-Colleyville borderline. And if you Google us, Our old location may show up as closed, but definitely go to the one on Grapevine Highway and reach out in any way, email, direct message, whatever it may be. I'm always glued to my phone, answering all the questions that you may have. I love talking to people over the phone and sharing this and all of the things that are amazing and happening at the studio. So please call me. Just not at my bedtime.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. It was so fun chatting with you, and I'm so excited that we've become friends, and I can't wait to see where everything goes from here and the next huge studio you move into next after this one. So, because it's only going to get bigger for you, I can tell.
Yes, I hope so. Fingers crossed.
It will. All right. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Oh my gosh. Thank you again, Kristen, so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to chat with me. And I apologize again for that interruption from the housekeeping. I really thought about cutting that out, but I was like, you know what? That's a little entertaining. And again, it just goes to show you that the one thing that I love about this job is that you can do it literally from anywhere. And that right before I recorded the interview and right after, I was sitting by the pool with a drink in my hand. So, relax hard, play hard, work hard. It all pays off. But in the end, I just want to say to Kristen, thank you so much for taking away from your busy day to talk to us. I hope that you were able to get something from our conversation. Hopefully you can see how and why I am so impressed with her and the things that she is doing in her business. I think a lot of times we feel like that we're not making an impact, and it's not until somebody else is able to look in from the outside and really see the impact that we're having on people that it can make you realize just how important it is to keep doing what you're doing every single day. All right, I know this episode is already a little bit running long today, so I'm going to skip over the Listener Lounge episode for today. We'll return next week with a new Listener Lounge question, but I wanted to make sure we got the full interview with Kristen in today. So thank you for allowing it to run a little bit long today and for allowing me to skip over that Listener Lounge portion this week. We'll definitely get back to that again next week. All right, ladies, I hope you have a wonderful week. Stay cool out there. It's getting hot this summer, so make sure you are enjoying some time outdoors, but also staying cool indoors. And I will see you again next week, same time, same place. Bye, guys. If you loved today's episode, don't forget to click the subscribe button so you never miss when a new episode goes live. Then head over to iTunes and leave a quick review to let other people know just how much you loved it. Thanks, ladies. See you next week.